with Access Arts Live with this week's roundup of orchestral and operatic live streams for the week of October 20th to October 27th. And there's a lot going on. There are 3 or 4 operatic live streams going on this week. 2 of them entire operas, others opera related. We also have early music, French early music being done by the Berlin Phil, of course. There's Tchaikovsky writing about Italy and Respighi writing about Italy in the same concert. There's waltzes being played in Moscow. There's not 1 but 2 orchestral concerts at roughly the same time coming out of Finland from the Helsinki Phil and the Tapiola Sinfonietta in Espoo, which is just a stone's throw from Helsinki. So our plate is full. The agenda is filled up. Before I go any further, I just want to remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching this on any of our other platforms, and we know you like the videos because we see the likes, what we'd like to see is following and or subscribing to Access Arts Live wherever you see our videos, which is on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. And having said that whole mouthful, let me now get to the first of this week's concerts for you, which, as I promised, are operatic. And the first one comes out of my beloved Stockholm, which I will get back to in about a month from now or so to spend the end of the year holidays there. Tuesday, October 16th, you can start your week with the Royal Stockholm Phil's tribute to the Opera Festival at Aix-en-Provence with younger and more established Swedish soloist, soprano Matilda Serby, tenor Daniel Johansson, and baritone Peter Mattei chiming in. This is the Birgit Nilsson Opera Prize concert. They give that prize out every year, and it's one of the top opera prizes in the world in terms of giving out awards of this kind. This is the first time they've given one out to a festival. Although in the past they gave the award to the Vienna Philharmonic, to people like Placido Domingo, Riccardo Muti, Yo-Yo Ma, Nina Stemme. The concert itself will have music by Kaija Saariaho, the Finnish composer, or the Parisian Finnish composer. She moved down to Paris in the early 1980s and spent the rest of her life there, passed away just a few years ago. They'll also be doing some Wagner and Mozart, although we're not told exactly what they're going to be doing. The photo there is Susanna Melki. She's a Finnish conductor, very much known for her work in contemporary music. She's been, in her time, the chief conductor of the Helsinki Phil for a number of years, of the Los Angeles Phil, and of that French contemporary music ensemble, the Ensemble Intercontemporain, which is still alive and kicking and doing very interesting concert works. The 3 singers are Matilda Serby is a soprano. She just got out of opera school in 2019. She's been singing around at regional opera houses in Sweden, in Göteborg and Malmo. And last year they gave her the Birgit Nilsson Scholarship. So, of course, they bring her in for the Birgit Nilsson award show. The tenor, Daniel Johansson, he's older, sings mostly across Sweden, Norway, and Finland, sort of a Nordic regular. And the baritone, Peter Mattei, he's much older. He's been around since the 90s, and he has sung everywhere. He's sung at Salzburg. He's sung several times, more than once, with the New York Met, at La Scala and places like that. So this will be an interesting concert, although we can't tell you exactly what they'll be singing. The fact that they're doing some Saariaho, I think, is very interesting because you don't hear that much of her music. One of the reasons they're honoring the Aix-en-Provence Festival is because they staged the world premiere of Saariaho's opera Innocence back in 2021. Took them a while to get around to recognizing that, but better late than never, eh? Next up will be the 2 concerts on Thursday. coming out of Finland early in the evening, because you know these Scandinavians, they do everything earlier in the day. Here's the conductor on this one, and I can also load up a picture for you of the oboist who is in this concert, Annie Hapaniemi. I hope I get that right. Let me move these around. Okay, let me tell you about this one. Thursday, October 23rd, Tapiola Sinfonietta is live streaming a new work for cello and orchestra by Matthew Whitall and Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, in a concert that also has a director and stage designer to go with it. And the concert's called Halluscination. The conductor is Thomas Djupsjöbacka, and that means a deep sea corner or something. And he's a cellist. You know, the Tapiola Sinfonietta, it's a chamber orchestra, and they don't have a formal conductor, although sometimes, you know, their home cellist will conduct. And it's not unusual for them to have cellists who are conducting it. That happens fairly often. Djupsjöbacka has mostly conducted with Finnish orchestras, like the Finnish Radio Orchestra, the Helsinki Finn, the Lahti Symphony, groups like that. Annie Hapaniemi, who's the oboist, she's been the principal oboist at Tapiola since 2009, and she teaches at the Sibelius Academy. So they'll do Whittall's In the New Light of Spring for cello and orchestra, and Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique. And that, did I give you the time? It's very early in the evening because they start really early with Tapiola. That's at 7:30 in the evening European time, 11:30 in the morning on the East Coast, 8:30 in the morning on the West Coast. If you want to stay up late in Australia, it's at 1:30 in the morning in Australia. And then not long after that, just a half an hour after that, comes the Helsinki Phil. So let me bring out a photo of that for you. And this Helsinki Phil evening is going to be a very, very German evening. Where's my violinist here? My violinist has dropped off the face of the planet. I keep having photos that disappear into the trash box, and I don't know why. Hold on, let me see if I can get her back, because it's a German violinist. And I don't know why people keep disappearing. Here she is. She's in there. I think I must have some kind of a virus or something that's playing games with me. Let me get back and show you her photo while I'm talking about the two of them. They're both German. And they're playing music by a German. Thursday, October 23rd, the BBC Proms favored German conductor Anja Bihlmaier joins the Helsinki Phil and German violinist Veronika Eberli to play works by German composers Karl Hartmann and Gustav Mahler's Titan Symphony. That's at 6 o'clock in the evening, a half an hour after Tapiola starts up. European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast. The piece by Karl Hartmann is called the Concerto Funèbre for violin and strings, the funereal concerto for violin and strings. The violinist is Veronika Eberli. Veronika was the artist in residence at Wigmore Hall in 2024 and 2025. And if you know Wigmore Hall, you know that's about all you need to know about her. You know, this year she's making her Carnegie Hall debut in a tour of Europe and the US with the Chamber Orchestra of Europe and Yannick Nézet-Séguin conducting it. And she's making a bunch of other top debuts at orchestras across Europe and the United States. I'm not going to bore you with the whole list. As for Anna Bihlmaier, she's been the principal guest conductor of the BBC Phil since last year. She appears annually at the BBC Proms. I love her there. This year, she's going to be debuting with the London Symphony, the Orchestre Symphonique de Montreal, the Orchestre National de Lyon. She'll be back with the Royal Stockholm Phil, the Berlin Concert House Orchestra, the Hong Kong Phil. She'll be down in Sydney and Melbourne, and she's the composer in residence at the Bonn Beethoven Fest. So this is very, very German. You know, Hartmann and then Mahler's Symphony No. 1 in D major, known as the Titan Symphony. If you like German music, then you will love this concert. What can I say? But if you don't like that, you do have another choice on Thursday night besides these folks. With the La Scala Orchestra. They're doing, it's more German. They're doing Mahler and Schönberg. Thursday, October 23rd, Riccardo Chailly leads the La Scala Orchestra and Chorus with baritone Christopher Maltman through Mahler's Rückert-Lieder and Schönberg's A Survivor from Warsaw. This will be a heavy concert. They'll start out with Bach-Webern's Fugue for Six Voices and Orchestra, Mahler's Rückert-Lieder for voice and orchestra. That'll be the baritone Christopher Maltman there singing it. Then they'll do Schönberg's Variations for Orchestra, Opus 31, and finish up with Schönberg's A Survivor from Warsaw, which is for a narrator, and that would be Christopher Maltman again. But it's not just flat narration, men's chorus and orchestra. Christopher Maltman is subbing in. This was supposed to be sung by a soprano, but she suddenly took ill. He's a big operatic baritone. Sings all over the place, the Royal Opera House, the New York Met, Salzburg, etc. He sings roles like title roles in Rigoletto, Otello, and Johannan and Salome. He recently did the Flying Dutchman at the Bavarian States Opera and was singing Wotan in the Ring Cycle, the Wagner's Ring Cycle at the Royal Ballet and Opera. So what's he doing this? And I looked up to see if he'd ever sung Schönberg's Survivor from Warsaw. Yeah, he did. Like in December 2004, 20 years ago, with the Philadelphia Orchestra with Eschenbach conducting. And he got great marks for it. The thing is that the narrator doesn't just say the story. The narrating is somewhere between speaking and singing. It's not singing with melody, but it's with a sonorous singing kind of voice. So I think it's very interesting, and that it's such a gruesome story. It tells the story of a survivor of the Warsaw Ghetto in the Second World War during his time in a concentration camp. And it describes in detail, they're holding a roll call of the detainees who are going to get gassed and killed. So heavy stuff. We move on to lighter entertainment on Friday. I could use it after thinking about that. That is such a heavy subject, but it is one that often gets overlooked. People just forget about it. And this next concert, I think, will be a lot lighter and a lot more fun, although it's coming out of Moscow, which is interesting. Well, when you hear what the concert is about. Friday, October 24th, the Moscow Phil plays Waltzes and More by Johann Strauss. under the direction of a French conductor, Clement Noncieux, who was an award winner at the Rachmaninoff competition in 2022 and has found favor throughout Russia ever since. That'll be at 7 o'clock in the evening, Moscow time. That's 6 o'clock European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast. Clement Noncieux, as I said, he won the didn't even win first prize, won second prize at the Rachmaninoff competition, which has like a conductor and a piano and a composer section to it. That was in 2022. And since then, he's been regularly working with places like the Mariinsky Orchestra, the Russian National Orchestra, the Svetlanov Symphony Orchestra, etc., traveling all over Russia. He's worked with a few regional French orchestras, but nothing to equal in stature to those Russian orchestras. And but he describes himself as a specialist in French operatic works, which is not at all what he's going to be doing. And he is, though, doing a fair amount of conducting at the Novaya Opera Theater in Moscow. So they love him in Moscow, and maybe you like him. They're doing Strauss, okay, light, easy, overture to the opera Die Fledermaus, the waltz, the Voices of Spring, the polka Anna, the Egyptian March, the Emperor Waltz, more polkas and the waltzes of the Blue Danube Waltz, etc. It'll just be just like a light, elegant evening. If you're looking for that, you can get it from the Moscow Phil with this Russian favorite French conductor Clement Noncieux, Friday, October 24th. There's more on Friday, though, as well, from the Frankfurt Radio Symphony. With this very young pianist. And a very dynamic conductor. Croatian conductor Ivan Repusic leads the Frankfurt Radio Symphony through music by Croatian composer Blagoje Bursa, a Tchaikovsky piano concerto, and music about Italy by both Tchaikovsky and Respighi, Friday, October 24th. That'll be at the usual 8 o'clock in the evening European time, 2 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 in the morning on the West Coast. From their usual hall, the Alte Oper in Frankfurt. This pianist, the young guy, is Alexander Malofeyev. He won the International Tchaikovsky competition for young musicians about a decade ago in 2014 when he was just 13 years old. So now he's got to be about 23, 24 years old. He's already played with the Philadelphia Orchestra, the Boston Symphony, the Santa Cecilia Orchestra, La Scala Orchestra. So, and he came in and played with the Frankfurt Radio Symphony Orchestra in 2022 when the original soloist couldn't make it, playing Rachmaninoff's third piano concerto, and they loved it. So now he's back, and he'll be playing the Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto No. 1, which, along with Blagoje Bursa's Sunny Fields, that's the Croatian composer, that's the first half of the program. Then the second half of the program, conducted by Ivan Repusic, is about Italy. And they'll be doing Tchaikovsky's Capriccio Italien, which is about a 15-minute piece, and Respighi's Pini di Roma. The Pini di Roma it comes in 4 movements, so it's like a symphony, and each part, according to the composer's own notes, is about a different part of Rome where there are pine trees. So there are the pines of the Villa Borghese, there are the pines near a catacomb, there are the pines of the Janiculum, and the pines of the Appian Way. And this this conductor, Repusic, is chief conductor of the Munich Radio Orchestra, the permanent guest conductor of the Deutsche Oper in Berlin, and chief conductor of the Zadar Chamber Orchestra from Croatia, I'm sure. So that's your Friday night options. And we move on to your Saturday night choices, which will include some opera again. Let's start out with the conductor on Saturday night, Emmanuelle Haïm, who's a real expert in Baroque music. The Berlin Philharmonic brings in top Baroque music conductor Emmanuelle Haïm from France Saturday, October 25th, to conduct music by Lully and Rameau with French soprano Laurent Oliva and Belgian tenor Renaud van Mechelen along for the ride. That'll be at 7 o'clock in the evening, Berlin time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast, 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. That's not free of charge. It will cost you €9.90 unless they have some special offer. Sometimes they'll give you a month for free. So you should check that out. You shouldn't let the fact that I told you it'll cost something deter you. The pieces they're doing are from a suite from Lully's Le Bourgeois Gentilhomme, The Bourgeois Gentleman, as arranged by Emmanuelle Haïm. Then they'll do excerpts from Rameau's Hippolyte et Aricie, Castor and Pollux, and Dardanus. Emmanuelle Haïm, she's a top historical performance conductor now. She has her own ensemble, which is very successful, called Le Concert d'Astrée. She was this is, I think, her seventh appearance with the Berlin Phil. They love her. She was conducting Handel's oratorio Il Trionfo del Tempo e del Disinganno last March with the Berlin Phil. She's a Parisian-born, studied at the Paris Conservatory, and was an early music keyboard specialist, especially on the continuo. Played with William Christian and Les Arts Florissants for a number of years, became very well known. And then she dreamed of becoming a conductor. And when she met Simon Rattle and he saw the way she played and conducted herself, he said, well, you should be a conductor. And the rest is history. I have pictures of these two young soloists for you that I can show you. The very young soprano. Where is she? Laurent Oliva. And then the more experienced and very credentialed Renaud van Mechelen. Laurent Oliva, she's what do you call it? Like what they call a revelation in France, révélation. She's very young, but she is very prized in France. She was nominated for the Revelation of the Year award at the Victoire Awards in France this past year. This year, she's going to be doing Morgana in Handel's Alcina. She's going to be doing she'll be doing Norina in L'Élysée d'Amore of Donizetti with the Toulon Opera. She'll be doing Rosen in Le Roi Dix of Lalo at the Opera of the Rhine under director Olivier Puy, who's a big French director. So she's being cultivated. And she'll be doing Poppaea done in Handel's Agrippina at the Rouen Opera this year. So they're moving her around everywhere they can in France to build up her repertoire and her experience. And then Renaud van Mechelen. Well, this guy is already really a name. came out of the Belgian Conservatoire more than a decade ago, became a member of William Christie's Jardin des Voix, and then a regular soloist with Les Arts Florissants. He sung with the Collegium Vocal, le Concert Spirituel, les Talents Lyriques, le Poème Harmonique, the Insular Orchestra, l'Arpeggiata, Capriccio Stravagante, etc., etc., etc. So, so he's very much a specialist in this kind of early music, and Laurent Oliva, if you notice the kind of pieces I told you about, it's largely Handel and Lalo, and so earlier opera, not the later, fuller, more dramatic opera. So that's what you'll get on Saturday evening. And then we have two more pieces to tell you about this weekend, and they're both opera. This one's from South Korea. Okay, so it's this is Saturday, October 25th, as a special event to mark World Opera Day. Opera Vision is live streaming direct from South Korea Daegu Opera's production of Mozart's masterpiece, Figaro, as part of its Global Young Artist Project. This is, it'll be sung in Italian with subtitles in Italian, English, Korean. These are emerging artists brought together in Korea from 7 different countries: South Korea, the US, Canada, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Italy, and Spain. And they were, there was a competitive audition process. They brought them all together. This is your chance to see emerging young artists. If I find more that I can tell you about it, I'll do a separate special edition video on it. But I think just telling you that tells you all you need to know about what kind of a production this is and whether or not you want to tune it in. Enjoy. And then we're on to Sunday. And I don't have a photograph for Sunday evening's thing, but I will do a separate edition, special edition on this one. Sunday, October 26th, opera streaming. It's a group of a half dozen regional opera houses in Italy. Live streams the Teatro Comunale di Modena's live stream of Giuseppe Verdi's Nabucco, free of charge. This will be in the middle of the afternoon in Europe, 3:30 in the afternoon. So it's 9:30 in the morning on the East Coast and 6:30 in the morning on the West Coast, 11:30 at night in Australia. Perfect time to watch a late night opera. This will be in English with Italian subtitles. The conductor is Massimo Zanetti. The director is Federico Grazzini. Nabucco is sung by Fabian Veloz. Ismael by Matteo De Sol. Zaccaria by Riccardo Zanalato. Abigail by Marta Torbidoni. If I can find the time and the information, I will do a special edition about each of those singers, so you know a little more about that production before we come to Sunday. But there isn't time to fit in full scale descriptions of operas in this kind of in this context when I'm doing this live stream. I hope that one or any of these performances live online uplifts you, inspires you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. I think the Strauss Waltzes from Moscow qualify as just showing you a heck of a good time on Friday evening. And with that, I will remind you, if you watched any of our videos on Facebook, please like the video. If you watch us anywhere else, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn. And we will continue to make sure you get more than 1,000 live links to live performances in this year. No other online outlet or service can make that claim. More than 1,000 live performances online per year, and we deliver to you the links. All you have to do is click and go, free of charge. Now, the content creators may charge you for it, but we don't charge you a penny for any of it. And it's a lot of work getting you this information, I'll tell you. Anyway, I'm going to pop back over and watch the rest of the Chopin International Piano Competition, which is just finishing up tonight, and waiting breathlessly for the results to see who won that. Ciao for now. I'll be back tomorrow with the roundup of organ recitals this week. And